What if I told you that everything you've been taught to doubt is absolutely real? What if the moment your heart stops beating isn't the end, but the beginning of something so extraordinary that no human language can fully capture it? My name is Dr. Mary Neal, and I died. Not almost died. I died. My body was trapped underwater for over 30 minutes. No oxygen, no heartbeat, no brain activity. By every medical standard, I should have suffered catastrophic brain damage or never returned at all. But what happened next changed everything I thought I knew about life, death, and what waits for us on the other side. I'm an orthopedic surgeon, a woman of science. I've spent decades studying the human body, understanding its limitations, respecting the boundaries of what's medically possible. I wasn't the kind of person who believed in mystical experiences or spiritual phenomena. But on January 14th, 1999, in a kayaking accident in the remote mountains of Chile, I crossed a threshold that no amount of medical training could have prepared me for. The water was ice cold, moving with terrifying force. My kayak folded around me like paper, pinning my legs, dragging me to the bottom of the river. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't move. I couldn't escape. And then I felt myself leaving, not in a frightening way, but in the most peaceful, natural sensation I'd ever experienced, like stepping out of a heavy coat that I'd been wearing my entire life without realizing how much it weighed me down. The first thing you need to understand is that dying doesn't hurt, at least not the way we imagine it. Yes, there was physical trauma. But the moment my spirit separated from my physical form, all pain evaporated instantly. It was replaced by the most overwhelming sense of peace and homecoming I've ever known. I wasn't leaving something behind. I was returning to where I truly belonged. I could see my body below me, still trapped in the kayak at the bottom of the river. I watched my friends desperately trying to reach me, their movements frantic and urgent. But I felt no panic. No fear. I was surrounded by what I can only describe as beings of light, spiritual presences that radiated pure love and familiarity. I knew them. Not from this life, but from before. They welcomed me like old friends, like family I'd been separated from for a lifetime. And the love that emanated from them was so intense, so pure, so completely unconditional, that every wound I'd ever carried, every insecurity, every regret, simply dissolved in its presence. Then came the tunnel. It wasn't dark or frightening. It was filled with golden light that grew brighter and more intense the further I traveled. And at the end of that light was a presence so powerful, so filled with love and wisdom, that I knew without question I was approaching God. The creator of all things, the source of everything good and beautiful that has ever existed. When I emerged from that tunnel, I found myself in a place that can only be described as heaven. Not the cartoon version with clouds and harps, but a realm of such breathtaking beauty that it made Earth's most spectacular vistas look like rough sketches in comparison. There were fields of flowers that sang, literally sang with colors and sounds that created symphonies of joy, structures that seemed to be made of crystallized light, and everywhere was the palpable presence of pure, unconditional love. I stood before a threshold, and on the other side, I could see even more wonders waiting. But I was met by Jesus. I know how that sounds to skeptics. Believe me, if someone had told me this story before it happened to me, I would have been skeptical too. But there was no mistaking this presence, the love, the authority, the complete acceptance and understanding. He knew everything about me, every thought I'd ever had, every mistake I'd ever made, every moment of doubt and fear, and none of it mattered. I was loved completely, exactly as I was. What happened next fundamentally changed how I live my life now. I was shown a review of my entire existence, not just my actions, but their ripple effects. Every kind word I'd spoken had created waves of positivity that touched people I'd never met. Every harsh judgment had caused pain that spread further than I'd ever imagined. But here's what stunned me. I wasn't being judged. I was being shown the truth of how interconnected we all are, how every single choice we make matters in ways we can't comprehend. The most profound revelation was this. We are not our accomplishments. We are not our bank accounts or our job titles or how many people know our names. What matters, truly matters, is love. How we love others. How we love ourselves. How we reflect God's love into a broken world. That's it. That's the entire point of this human experience. Then came the moment that still brings me to tears. I was given a choice. I could stay in this paradise, in this place of perfect peace and joy, or I could return to my body, return to pain, to struggle, to the unfinished work of my life on earth. I was shown my children at future points in their lives needing their mother. I was shown work I still had to do, people I still had to help, lessons I still had to learn. Every fiber of my being wanted to stay. The pull of heaven was so strong, the love so complete, that returning to earth felt like being asked to leave paradise for a prison. But I also understood that my time wasn't finished. And with profound reluctance and equally profound love for my family, I chose to come back. The moment I made that decision, I slammed back into my body with jarring force. The contrast was shocking. From perfect peace to excruciating pain. From limitless freedom to being trapped underwater, legs pinned, lungs screaming for oxygen. My friends had finally managed to pull my kayak to shore. They performed CPR for what seemed like an eternity. When I finally gasped that first breath, more than 30 minutes had passed. 30 minutes without oxygen. By every medical standard, I should have been brain dead or severely damaged. The doctors were baffled when I showed no neurological deficits, no cognitive impairment, no lasting physical damage beyond broken bones that would heal. They called it impossible, a miracle. But I knew exactly why I was intact. I had been protected because my work here wasn't finished. Here's what I need you to understand. I don't believe heaven is real. I know it is. I've been there. I've experienced it with a certainty that surpasses anything I've known in my medical career. Death is not the end. It's not even an interruption. It's a graduation, a returning home, a transition into something more beautiful than our minds can fully grasp while we're trapped in these physical bodies. Skeptics have tried to explain away my experience. Oxygen deprivation, hallucination, brain chemistry creating illusions in times of trauma. But none of these explanations account for the verifiable details. I saw things while I was out of my body that I couldn't have possibly known. Conversations my friends were having on the riverbank, actions taken by rescue personnel, events happening miles away that were later confirmed. This wasn't imagination or wishful thinking. This was real, verified, undeniable experience. I was sent back with a specific message. You are deeply, completely, unconditionally loved. Right now. Exactly as you are, with all your flaws and failures and fears. You are precious beyond measure to the God who created you. Your life has meaning and purpose that extends far beyond what you can currently see. And heaven is waiting. Not as some distant maybe, not as a comforting myth, but as an absolute reality. A place so magnificent, so filled with joy and peace and love, that every single moment of suffering on earth will be understood as having been worth it. So what do you do with this information? How does knowing that heaven is real change how you live today? Live like it matters, because it does. Every kind word, every moment of patience, every time you choose love over fear, forgiveness over resentment, generosity over selfishness, it all matters. It all creates ripples that extend into eternity. Don't wait until you die to start living the way you know you should. Don't postpone kindness, or put off reconciliation, or delay telling people you love them. Time here is precious not because it's all we have, but because it's our opportunity to grow into the beings we were created to become. And when your time comes to make that same journey I made, you'll cross that threshold and realize everything was always going to be okay. You were always held. You were always loved. You were always heading home. I'm Dr. Mary Neal, and I'm living proof that heaven is real. The question isn't whether it exists. The question is, how will you live differently now that you know? If this testimony has touched your heart, drop a comment below sharing your thoughts or your own experiences. And if you want more stories of faith, hope, and the reality of the spiritual world, subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell. This message is too important to miss. Until then, live like you're loved, because you are.